Do you ever feel like painting but you find yourself overwhelmed just by the thought of it? As an artist, painting can be your passion, but however, sometimes it's easy to feel burnt out, to be overwhelmed, especially when life keeps you super busy. I personally have been going through that phase, and there is something that helped me, and I really want to share it with you guys. So if you feel that you can already relate to me, then this video is definitely for you. Alright, let's break down the thought of painting. So I'm going to use watercolors, but you can use any medium you're comfortable with. And as far as I'm concerned, what overwhelms me the most about painting is that first I need to get my desk ready with the paint, the water, the brushes, etc. And then I need to draw something I might have been inspired over Instagram or Pinterest. And then I head over to Pinterest and to Instagram to see what I wanted to paint. All my saved posts, or maybe something that comes on the explore page, but then I completely get lost and I end up not painting at all. So I spend so much of my time scrolling through social media looking for inspiration, but then I just get lost and I'm so overwhelmed by so many artists and all that they have created. And here I'm sitting at my desk with couple of paints and brushes and a blank piece of paper. This has been my biggest hurdle I have faced when I sit to paint. I have come across a couple of videos on YouTube on how to get myself to paint and how do I feel relaxed about it, but all I ended up coming across was something like brush practice or making patterns with watercolors. But I want something that I feel satisfied about. So here is the first thing we're gonna do. I promise you it's going to take about 60 seconds. Pause the video right here, pick up your brushes, get some paint out on your palette and some water to rinse the brushes, and that's it. Easy, right? Now you can go ahead and paint something that you had in mind, or you can do it any other day. But leave it there on the table, all the paints, the brushes and everything. And you can continue watching this video. So when I go looking for inspiration, I get lost on social media, especially on the endless scrolling on Instagram or even on Pinterest. So I had to think of doing something about it and how I could overcome that. So I tried to save some posts on Insta and or maybe take a couple of screenshots that I was inspired by, so that I can look up and then I'll use that as my reference and I want to paint something. But unfortunately, when I go into my gallery or the saved post section on Instagram, I feel overwhelmed even there. And by the time I look for the one I want, I completely lose my inspiration to paint. And believe me, it shouldn't be this hard. So I switched to something that has been so much effective for me. I went to a bookshop instead and looked for coloring books. I know it's easy to find tons of coloring books, and I myself have been a victim of hoarding a lot of coloring books over the years, and I never ended up painting. And when I retrospected over it, I found that two things went wrong here. I picked the ones I felt less connected to. So the first thing is to take time and pick your most favorite coloring book. I believe that you should like at least 80% of the book. The coloring book should keep you wanting to spend time with it. So that's what we are looking for here. So here are two of my favorite books. I have done so many. I think half the pages are missing now, because I have colored so many pages in this, because these have turned out to be my favorite, and I try and buy different versions. The next thing that went wrong with my previous coloring books, I picked really big coloring books before. So many coloring books, which are the therapeutic ones, the ones that are like adult coloring books, I felt that the design is very intricate and also the size of one page is big, so which would require a couple of days for you to complete it. My advice is to pick smaller coloring books that you feel you can complete one page in one time. I mean, like the moment you sit and then you can just complete it. If you are a watercolor artist like me, there is one more extra step. You may have to prep the coloring book with gesso and then you get to paint on it the next day. Here I'm gonna apply this gesso over these coloring pages. Let's see how they go. It's really satisfying to apply this layer, but I'm finding it hard to hold the page down, and sometimes I think I'm smudging the gesso on the corners, but it's okay because I think it's still outside the borders, but yeah, it should be fine. Here's how they all turned out, and it has a very smooth matte and a chalky feel on the papers, but yes, I think it's perfect to paint on. This video is not aimed to get yourself motivated to paint just once, but rather to make it a habit and to finish the whole coloring book that you bought. Once you get into the habit of painting at your own frequency, after you're done with your coloring book, you'll be more inspired to paint something on your own, and you no longer rely on the sketch of the coloring book. You can come up with something on your own. I know I'm talking a lot about habits and how to keep yourself motivated, and I am definitely not a motivational speaker. I'm just a lost artist looking for a way to paint without feeling overwhelmed. So here's a concept that I came across from the book Atomic Habits by James Clear. He says that to make a habit stick, you would have to make the habit satisfying. As artists, the moment you complete one painting, you feel satisfied. But let's take it one step further by keeping a habit tracker. We are gonna try to make things simple here. We are not gonna complicate it. I know it can be overwhelming to make just painting a habit and then building another habit of marking on a habit tracker. It's a bit much. Let's rather take 2 jars and fill one jar with seashells, for instance, or pebbles or marbles or whatever, with the same number of coloring pages on your book or your favorite pages on your book. When you complete one page, move one seashell to the next jar, and as days go by, you will have a visual habit tracker right in front of your eyes at your table. This is the second level of satisfaction, to move seashells from one jar to another. But yes, I hope it helps you feel motivated to paint. If at any stage you feel overwhelmed, it is best to stop right there and try again the next day. Thank you for sticking around. It means so much to me, and I hope we get to paint more. See you on the next one. Bye.